This morning, we're seeing an internal fracture within the GOP emerging into the open as President Trump contemplates what to do about Iran and whether to join the war militarily. Some Republican lawmakers, like Senator Lindsey Graham, urging the president to, quote, all in to keep Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Then there are the MAGA isolationists like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's making a plea for Trump to stay out and focus on America first. The divide making its way onto conservative media with this testy exchange between Senator Ted Cruz and former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? What's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay,
No,
this is cute.
it's not
Okay.
even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
Okay,
actually,
I
the
am not
country,
the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a
who
senator
says,
who's calling for the
you're one who
overthrow of the
claims-
government.
You're the
and
one
you
who
don't know
claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country.
CNN senior reporter Annie Grayer joining me now with much more on this. That was an extremely testy exchange there. Clearly, Tucker Carlson saying, you know, the United States should stay out of the war, and he does still have some sway in the MAGA world. How is this playing out on both sides of the GOP aisle, if you will, right now, as Trump has been weighing on what to do next? What is he hearing from either side?
Well, Sarah, Republicans are divided on what to do about Iran, and it's showing broader divisions on how Republicans handle foreign policy. And President Trump is caught in the middle of it. He is hearing from all factions of his party. Members are directly making their case to the president. And at this point, it's still unclear which side of his party he's ultimately going to lean towards. But you have defense hawks like Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who you mentioned, who spoke with the president recently about making his case that the administration should go all in on eliminating any nuclear capabilities in Iran. Let's take a listen to what Senator Graham had to say.
Iran with a nuclear weapon is a threat not only to Israel but to us. And 4 presidents have promised to make sure that Iran never had a nuclear weapon. I think it will be Donald Trump who delivers on that promise.
And then on the other side of the party, you have isolationist right-wing Republicans like Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's been messaging with the president telling him to stay out of another foreign war. She told CNN in our reporting, quote, "We have all been very vocal for days now, urging, let's be America first, let's stay out." So the question is going to be, Sarah, ultimately which side of the party Trump sides with, but Congress also has a potential role to play here. They could pass a Foreign Powers Act that would require the president to get authority from Congress in order to take any military action, but that is still days away, and that could put Republicans in another uncomfortable position depending on what the president decides here.
Yeah, we will see whether or not that happens and how this all plays out moment to moment. Things have been changing, messages being sent from Iran and from Israel at the same time. He's juggling that as well. Thank you so much, Annie Grayer. Appreciate your reporting there from D.C.
Joining me now, author of The Red Letter on Substack, Tara Palmieri, founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America, Paul Rieckhoff, and Republican strategist Joe Pinion. Glad to have you all here. I'm beginning with you, Tara, because you saw those poll numbers from Harry, and there was also a top MAGA pollster. His name is Rich Barris, and he posted this warning to Trump saying, quote, "If he pulls the trigger, it's all over MAGA." Now, this is suggesting, of course, the Republicans might lose their majority in Congress for a decade. So I wonder how much of Trump's reaction and contemplation is factoring this in.
I think President Trump is realizing that MAGA is not that loyal to him, not as loyal as he thinks. Yeah, I mean, did you see that comment that he made to Michael Scher at The Atlantic this morning? He said, "I made America first. I can decide what it means." To me, that means someone who's very reflexive, is in a defensive state, and he thinks he controls it. By the way, it was Reagan, I think, who came up with America first. But you know what I'm saying? He thinks that he can decide what is America first, what is isolationist, he thinks he can decide what the policy is of MAGA, and they'll go along with him. But they're showing that they're on the brink. They've had it. They are not happy with this, and they're already coming off of being angry with him on going back and forth on his immigration policies over the past week. As you saw, he was saying, we'll make exceptions for farm workers, restaurateurs, hoteliers. they went crazy over that, and he quickly reversed it. This is something he does. He sees the base react to his moments when he veers away from what they really want, and then he goes back to suit them. So he's really controlled by them more than he tries to let on that he controls them.
Do you think that there is a loyalty issue if this is that red line?
Look, I think the reality is that whether you hate him or love him, President Trump built the broadest coalition that we have seen in probably the better part of 2 decades with the Republican Party. With that broad coalition comes challenges. One of those challenges becomes the issue of foreign policy. When you have people that were united behind Trump because they thought that he would be the end of the military-industrial complex of forever wars. And so I do think that we do have a little bit of PTSD in the public square when people hear things that reminisce of weapons of mass destruction. People's hackles go up. But I do think there is a difference between war and conflict. I think we have to remember that in Iraq, the entirety of the actual military action to take Baghdad lasted less than 30 days. We were in the country for over 8 years. So I think that's what President Trump is potentially trying to do, to draw that line to say, yes, we must support Israel in spite of the fact that the prime minister has gone and done things I basically implored him not to do. But is he able to navigate it in a way that appeases the base? I'm not entirely sure he will be able to, but ultimately a second-term, non-consecutive president is elected because he's willing to do the things that he needs to do, irrespective of the impact it's going to have on his legacy.
He can't.
Well, I got to hear from Paul on this, because I see you champing at the bit on this point. I want to hear from a veteran.
Talk is easy, war is hard. And war is exceptionally unpopular across all American political affiliations, right? I think it's unpopular for MAGA. I think it's unpopular for most Americans. And we know the history of foreign intervention. I was in Iraq. I know what that was like, and it's very easy to talk about it. It's very easy to start it. It's very hard to finish it. And I think most Americans are pushing back on any kind of foreign intervention, especially when nukes are involved, and especially when American troops could potentially be at risk. But I think it's also important to underscore, they are already at risk. We've got 40,000 troops throughout the region who have been getting hit by Iranian proxies for years. Iranian proxies hit guys like me in Iraq when we were there. So this has been unfolding for a long time below the radar, where most Americans haven't seen it. But now it's escalating to the point where Trump, it seems to be, doesn't have to be advised on whether or not Israel's going to do things. We're reaching a new normal where our allies don't necessarily have to get American permission, don't have to get the commander-in-chief sign-off. I think Israel's going forward regardless of whether or not they have Trump's support.
Let me ask you about what Vice President Vance had to say on this issue, you guys, too, because he released a pretty lengthy post on X. It was this morning, and he defended the president, saying, quote, "I can assure you that he is only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus." So thinking about the idea of the promise of peace, stability, America first, and reverence to our troops in particular, is that going to quell that concern about getting in and being able to leave or intervention?
That sounds like political word salad. I mean, that doesn't sound like anything. I don't think it's going to make anybody feel better. Maybe it'll, deepen his loyalty to Trump somehow, but that's not going to help this situation. And Trump's going to have to make strategic decisions about what he does want to use. I think the Iranians do want our firepower. I think they do want our air assets. They do want our bombs. And if they can get that without the baggage and chaos of Trump, where he's talking junk on X when really what we need to be doing is, talking softly and carrying a big stick, that generally works better on the world stage in situations like this. I think Netanyahu's trying to have a little bit of both to achieve his objectives while Israel and Tel Aviv continue to get hit with missiles on a daily basis.
I think also we have to look at J.D. Vance and where he stands in all of this. J.D. Vance is setting himself up to be the successor to President Trump. J.D. Vance is the carrier of the MAGA stick. He is the one who has long been saying, American isolationism, America first. He's been hardline on it, and that's why the base loves him. That's why MAGA loves him.
But does Trump listen to him?
No, but he's got to defend Trump. And he also has to make sure he doesn't get dragged down by this administration and end up leaving a very unpopular administration that went into another war. And then he's stuck like Kamala and having to run on his record.
So who is Trump listening to in this space?
No one. I mean,
Well, Vance is in a unique position also because he's a post 9/11 combat vet himself.
Right.
This is where he could have an oversized influence. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. Same thing with Pete Hegseth. These are folks who've been involved in foreign wars since 9/11 and couldn't be a unique position to advise him appropriately on how to attack this situation or not.
I'll simply say this. I think President Trump, probably more so than anyone, probably arguably since Lincoln, has assembled a team of rivals, right? Whatever you think of the people personally, they are young, they are ambitious, and I
Both
think
their
they're all-
eyebrows went up.
Well, I think
a team of rivals?
I think they would look at themselves as a team of rivals, young people who all think they're going to have a bright future in politics. And so I think that if you look at it from that perspective, trying to wrangle all of these people that have their own opinions, are trying to effectively make sure that they too can get into the new cycle. President Trump has to remember he was elected to lead the movement. It's his objective to make sure that he can connect that thread and make sure that the America First movement actually gets done, not making sure that we're doing the bidding of Israel.